You can call her and tell her we can start. Okay. Okay, I think we have close to 65 participants who have joined us within the Zoom room here. Uh, and we have close to 120 or more participants who are already logged in on YouTube. So I think we can start now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our participants who are watching this opening ceremony of the third edition of the Asia Pacific Cooperative Youth Summit, which is going live as of now. On behalf of the organizers, I take this opportunity to welcome you all to this opening ceremony. As some of you may know, this is a 3-day mega event organized online by the International Cooperative Alliance Asia and Pacific with support from the ICYC, that's the International Cooperative Alliance Committee on Youth Cooperation, and the ICA EU partnership. We are also very much thankful to our sponsors, which is the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, or better known as AMUL, and the ICA Domus Trust for supporting this event. As you know, the theme for this year is celebrating youth as torchbearers of the cooperative identity. And this is, of course, in continuation with the two successful youth summits that the office has also organized in recent past. The Asia Pacific Youth Summit, the first version was held in Bali, Indonesia in 2016. And after its grand success, we followed up with the second iteration in Cebu, the Philippines in 2018. The summit continues to provide a platform for young people in the region to interact with each other, hear experiences from young entrepreneurs, and of course, engage in immersions and cultural exchanges. So this year, of course, due to the pandemic, we had to shift to the online version, but I definitely hope that you all will also be able to actively participate in the virtual interactions that we have planned, an exciting 3-day event that is being planned, and look forward to having you throughout the whole program. With this, I now move on to the opening ceremony, and we have an interesting lineup of speakers and people who would like to share their views. We begin with inviting Mr. Balu Iyer, the Regional Director of ICA AP, who is also the guiding light and a constant source of inspiration for the Youth Summit initiative. He will share his opening remarks. Over to you, Balu, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mohit, for that introduction. And let me also, on behalf of the International Cooperative Alliance, Asia and Pacific, welcome you all to the third Asia Pacific Youth Summit. We are delighted by the overwhelming response from across the region to the 3-day online summit, and especially would like to recognize the school cooperatives in Malaysia who have signed up overwhelmingly. The summit is being held even as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to ravage many countries in the region. I was just talking to Ali Reza, who's the vice chair of the youth committee, and he was saying that in Iran, they are now going through the 5th wave. Some other countries, we are talking about the 2nd wave. So these waves are going to keep coming. So we can't let our guards down. And many youth who wanted to participate could not, because they found it difficult to be in a place with a stable internet access. And that becomes very important these days with everything going online. Access to the internet, having stable connection becomes important. And even some of our potential speakers and mentors were also not able to participate because they came down with COVID at the last minute. So I think the message is the pandemic is not gone away. It still continues to be around. So we need to ensure that we follow protocols wherever we are. Having this online summit takes care of some of these issues in terms of we are not meeting in a physical sense. And online also gives us the opportunity to take part wherever we are. So the physical necessity has been overcome. And so I'm glad that we are all still, despite the pandemic, able to meet for this summit. The ILO came out with a report, Youth and COVID-19, and it was titled Impact on Jobs, Education, Rights, and Mental Well-being. And what this report highlights is that the impact of the pandemic on youth, on young people has been systematic, deep, and disproportionate. It has been particularly hard on young women, younger youth, and youth in lower income countries. Young people are concerned about their future and their place in it as education has been affected. Like I said at the beginning, even though education has gone online, that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone has access, everyone has stable connections, is able to participate as much as they would in a physical setting. For workers, it has destroyed their employment and undermined career prospects with layoffs, reductions, livelihoods being affected because of health, mental well-being, etc. But then the report also says, but young people are determined to step up and partner safely and effectively with governments, social partners, civil society organizations, and other institutions to build back better. And this was the theme of the International Day of Cooperatives, Rebuild Better Together. And it highlighted how cooperatives during the course of the pandemic and even now are playing an important part in building resilient societies. The ICA, as the body which represents cooperatives worldwide, strives to unite, promote, and develop cooperatives, and youth play an important part in the activities of ICA. ICA President Ariel Guarco at the 2020 Global Youth Forum in Malaysia, and I'm sure many of you all attending the summit were also there, said that, and I quote him, young people are not the future of the movement. They must be the present, because the urgent problems of today means the future of our movement and our civilization is at stake. So young people for us are not, for the ICA, not only at the global level, but at the regional level, is not in the future, but you all are the present. And so how do we engage with you all today in the present is very important to us. And most recently, the ICA board, the global board, approved the formation of the ICA Youth Committee. Earlier, it was the Youth Network, but now it has recognized the Youth Committee as one among the committees of the ICA, and it's approved the constitution of the committee. So it's elevated again the centrality of youth for the ICA, and this is an important recognition. In the Asia Pacific region, again, we've had a youth committee from 2013 onwards, and we have been actively engaging youth in all our activities to provide a platform to youth from across the region to come together. We started the Youth Summit in 2016 in Bali and held the second summit in Cebu in Philippines. So this summit is meant to bring youth together, to hear from youth who have started cooperatives and who are engaged in cooperatives, to hear their experiences about why they started, what motivated them, how they see them contributing to the community where they are, to also engage in hands-on activities, experience the culture of the place where the summit was being held, and take part in co-op pitch. And this is an addition to co-op pitch has been a central feature of the summit, where we listen to ideas to form cooperatives and award the best 3 pitches. This year, in December, we will have the 33rd World Congress in Seoul, Korea. This was to have taken place last year to mark 125 years of the ICA. But because of the pandemic, it had to be shifted by a year. And the Congress, the theme of the Congress is deepening the cooperative identity. And what cooperative identity means, the definition of what a cooperative is, what are our values, what are our principles. And so during the Congress, there are many sessions where youth are involved as participants, as speakers. And let me also take this opportunity to welcome you all to visit the ICA Congress website to know more about what is planned for the Congress, to know more about youth-related activities, and also to sign up and be part of it. And as always, there are discounted prizes for youth, so you should take advantage of that. In line with the Congress theme of deepening the cooperative identity, we decided that the Youth Summit this year will be celebrating youth as torchbearers of the cooperative identity. To celebrate the role youth play in cooperatives, showcase youth entrepreneurs, get ideas from youth about new cooperatives, and inculcate a culture of cooperativism. So thus, this summit is a platform to bring you all together. So again, I thank you all for the overwhelming response, signing up and being part of this. So it's a platform to bring you all together. You all have the spirit and the desire. And what we want to show also is that you're not alone. You are a part of a larger community that we can share and learn and build a network, support each other, and bring others on board and build a future which we determine the way we want. So I hope during the course of the summit, you have fun. This is not meant to be a strict sitting like a classroom lecture. I have gone through the schedule. There are a number of activities, from cultural events to breakout sessions, to speeches, to other ways of engagement. So I hope you all have fun. You make connections, which I hope will also continue beyond the summit. Participate actively in these different events. Post your comments. And as young people, you all are very active on social media, be it I only am on Twitter, but I'm sure you all are much more convenient with Instagram, Facebook, and any new ones. So please post your comments. I think the hashtag and the various handles have been made available to you all. So post your comments. Provide feedback to us on the summit, both the positive and the negative. For this is the third iteration, and each time we very seriously take the feedback provided and see how we can improve upon it. So we look forward to your suggestions on how it went, what can be improved, and what you gained from it. And we have an impressive list of speakers, starting with our keynote speaker, Zahara Al-Hilali. I'd like to thank her for agreeing to come. She's again, schools there in Australia have opened, so she's between classes. She's agreed to take time to be with us. So thank you very much, Zahara. I'd like to also thank our key speakers who have been gracious and immediately agreed to join this youth summit. We've had a good response to co-op pitch, and I'm looking forward to hearing the ideas, the new ideas which you all have in terms of what you would like to do with cooperatives, which are not only provide the business ideas, but also how the cooperative identity has been integrated into it. So I'd like to thank all the participants who submitted their ideas, and of course the mentors. Mentors play a very important role in terms of guiding all the participants. So thank you very much. I would like to also extend our gratitude to the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, which promotes products under the brand name Amul for sponsoring Co-op Pitch. Amul is easily one of the most recognized brand in India, and it is a matter of immense pride to us that it is a cooperative which is working for the benefit of over 30 million plus dairy farmers across their country, and their products compete and are second to none. So it's a big pride for the cooperative movement in India and across. I'd like to thank the ICA EU partnership for its role, its contribution to supporting cooperatives in the region, and for also being part of the summit. The ICA Domus Trust, which is an India registered entity, for also sponsoring one of the Co-op Pitch prizes. The ICAP Youth Committee for their very, very active participation, promotion, and making sure that the summit, we are all here today in terms of numbers and participation. So thank you to everyone who's been part of this summit. I'd like to thank the ICAP staff who've been working very hard at this for the past few months, Ganesh, Shivali, Shri, Mohit, Simran, everyone. So thank you very much. But finally, this summit would not be what it is without the very active participation from you all. So again, thank you very much for the overwhelming response. And I do hope that you all have fun and enjoy and make this summit a success. So welcome and enjoy the summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Balu, for setting the right tone for the summit and also sharing your encouraging words. Moving ahead, I now have the distinct pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for the third edition of the Youth Summit, Ms. Zahara Al-Hilali. To read out her introduction in itself is also a distinction, I must say, I have today. Zahara represents Australia on the UN Women Generation Equality Task Force and works with the Department of Foreign Affairs in France and Mexico to deliver the Generation Equality Forum. She is 21-year-old first-generation Australian from Palestine and Iraq and advocates for policy issues on gender equality, equitable representation of migrants and refugee youth within decision-making, and refugee rights at the local, national, and international levels. She sits on the Young Women's Council of Australia and represents Western Australia government as its state ambassador for young people. Currently, she studies law and journalism at the Murdoch University and has been recognized as one of the finalists on 25 young women to watch for in international affairs. Zara, it's our distinct pleasure. Welcome to the Youth Summit. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, and thank you so much for having me here today. For far too long, young people have been told that their age is an indicative feature that prevents them from actively participating within decision-making initiatives. Their voices, merely a tokenized tool that, whilst a major power source of light and change is apparent, also one that lacks full support to do well exponentially. Aforementioned, my name is Zara El Hilali, and like many of you, if not most of you in the audience today, I'm a young person that has faced the brunt of young people ceasing to have the support that they deserve. I'm a young activist, one that has fought tirelessly across many and with many stakeholders upon many issues, and we demand change. I've experienced a plethora of discrimination, not only for my age, but for the woman that I am before you, a Muslim female who wears the hijab. Nevertheless, I persevere, not because I want to, but because we need to. When I was asked to present a speech, I was asked what I envision for young people. And when I was thinking and reflecting about this, it was so difficult for me to actually envision a future for us all, because it is so unrealistic to have a world that is equitable and benefits every last one of us. I see one that is inclusive and united for every last young person from a diverse background. I see a world that recognizes that age is not a feature that determines leadership, where our voices matter. But we cannot simply wish upon a world that is united for us all and hope that that will be enough. I'm sure we can all agree that COVID-19 has definitely told us that there are multiple institutional barriers that hinder the growth of a young person, and support is one of them. It has taught us that being of a specific identity is controversial, almost indicating that you are unworthy to be within different spaces. Having worked in spaces that promote the inclusion of young people at the highest institutions has given me hope. As I've mentioned previously, I'm the Australian representative to the United Nations Women Generation Equality Youth Task Force. This position has allowed me to communicate with high-level stakeholders in the generation equality processes. I've been privileged to also represent young people across the world on the Generation Equality Core Group with the Department of Foreign Affairs in Mexico and France, having juggling multiple meetings at multiple absurd hours. But working with individuals closely to center the core of imperative decisions needed within building a future that is equitable for us all has reminded me that young people's voices are still being filtered. Our representation and our tokenism is not enough. We must ensure that we are being equitably supported through allocated funding and support, not just with the title that we are given to speak up, to represent young people. Young people cannot be expected to participate to the greatest of their ability without the proper allocation of support. Let that be through remuneration, through emotional support. We demand change now. The definition of leadership still fluctuates for myself today. But if there is one thing that remains consistent, it is that leadership is in every single one of us here today, through the Zoom screen, through our interactions, and through the very voice that we hold. The traditional Oxford definition states that leadership is the action of a group of people or an organization. But I beg to differ. It took me very long to comprehend that leadership is not just a position of power that people hold within society, but rather it is a value that is inherently ingrained within us all today. So to see so many of you here today joining in from all different cities and countries across the world gives me hope that we are building a future that represents every single one of us. It is something that comes so naturally, as though you are instinctively born with it. However, it is up to us, it is up to me, and it is up to you to transform your abilities into what you desire them to be. Dig deep, find that leadership within you, and use it to create the change that you would like to see. Whilst you may be sitting in your seats today asking where you fit into this definition of leadership, the answer is simple. You already do. You are a domino that is a part of the rippling effect in creating change. And if your very voice has the ability to make that one move, you've already changed the world into a place that is representative of us all. Whilst youth leadership doesn't fit the traditional lens of bureaucracy and power, our actions in speaking up against some of the most cutting and firming issues, from climate change to discrimination, is shifting the narrative of what leadership is ought to look like, inclusive of us all. My mother once told me that our voices are the most powerful tools for reform, and every person here has a unique perspective to offer in building that reform that we want to see. Whilst we are intrinsically told to undermine the limitless abilities of our power, we must recognize that every human being brings something unique: perspective, voice, and thought. Do not let this society tell you that your strength and your courage is less than what it is, regardless of the number of people who get to hear it. For the courage to speak up is enough courage to shift the narrative, and we are all a part of that same narrative to shift the change that we want to see. In 2021, we have battled some of the hardest and toughest challenges that will impact the world into what it is yet to become. We have seen young people at the forefront of COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, anti-Asian discrimination. Yet the power of young people is still being undermined. What a paradox that is. We have the facts and the precedents to prove that young people are powerful agents in changing the world. You are a part of the movement too, regardless of the Zoom screen that shifts me from you. If one only remembers the power of their voice and the power that that voice has to shift the world, you can definitely have the power to change this world. With that, I leave you with this message. I'm changing the world with every step that I take, with every word that I utter. You can as well. With every word that leaves the tip of your tongue, in fighting against microaggressions, or every step you have made with apprehension, in joining a local youth partnership in changing the world. Your very existence is enough to rattle the change that we need to be. So here I call upon you to find that passion within you and to use it to change the world that benefits every single one of us. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Zara, for that very inspiring speech. I'm sure this lightens up all of our August audiences here who are also, flaming to be the torch bearers of the cooperative identity. So the young people here are, I'm sure, overwhelmed by your speech and would look forward to, of course, learning more about you and your work. And we, of course, will be in touch to make sure that we of course celebrate the cooperative identity and work with you in the coming future as well. With that, we move on to the next speaker, which is Mr. Ali Reza Benefer, Vice Chairperson of the ICAP Committee on Youth Cooperation. I invite you, Mr. Ali Reza, to share your views and remarks on the Youth Summit. Over to you.
Thank you, Mohit. I'm very glad to be here. Mr. Balu Iyer, respected Regional Director of ICA in the Asia Pacific, Ms. Zahra Al-Hilali, Australian representative of UN Women and Youth Task Force, and of course my friend Ana Aguirre, Vice President of the Global Youth Network, and all my fellow cooperators from different countries. I think now is just good morning, so no need to say good afternoon to all the participants at this very interesting event, so-called as Asia Pacific Cooperative Youth Summit 3.0. It's indeed a great opportunity to welcome you all and to be here representing the Youth Committee in the region. The regional office of Asia Pacific has always been the greatest supporter of the youth in the region by giving them a special attention and authority to be involved in all the decisions for this movement. This, I believe, is a great chance for us all to acknowledge the support and give back all we have to show and prove the power of youth. Youth are always bringing their own creativity and innovation and high spirit when given the chance, and here in the cooperative movement as well. Over the last few years, we have been very lucky to have a special committee dedicated to the youth and run by them. As Balu mentioned, the Global Youth Network turned to the Global Youth Committee just this year. But in Asia Pacific, we are very lucky to have started this committee since 2013. This committee has been working in different areas and aspects needed by the youth and have brought many good results as well. So this alone shows how active and strong this committee has been working, and this wouldn't have been done without the support of the regional office. One of the key features of this committee has been the campaign organized by youth in different countries and of course in different regions, known as the Go Green campaign. This campaign has been started in Asia Pacific and then moved to Africa region, and in year 2020 we were lucky to have the Americas region as well. So we were very lucky to include the events of the Go Green campaign and spread the word to most of the continents in the world. It has been done over the past few years to go along with the SDG 13, which is the goal to fight against the climate change. Every one of us are seeing the results of the climate change in every corner of the world. And we need to be alert, and we need to be working against the climate change. And I believe definitely that the cooperatives are a very suitable platform to work together to fight against this climate change. Youth summits have also been done and organized by the regional office to discover different aspects of youth and their needs. It was first organized in Bali, Indonesia, as Mohit mentioned, and then Cebu in Philippines, and now we are in the new version of the Youth Summit as online, but it is actually bringing us the opportunity to meet more people and to have ideas and also aspects from different members from different countries. I'm not going to talk too long, but before finishing, let me just repeat what Mr. Balu mentioned a couple of minutes ago in his speech. Let me read again the very supportive message from the Ariel Guarco, the president of the ICA. Young people are not the future of the movement. They must be the present, because the urgent problems of today mean the future of our movement, and our civilization is at stake. This is actually a very, very strong message by Ariel, and we are very thankful to him to acknowledge the need to the youth, and I believe this is a very, very important support coming from the president of the ICA. By this, I wish you all success and hope you can enjoy the summit by taking part in all of the sessions you like. And I hope we can have very good interactive sessions all together, and we can learn from each other and we can work together. And I hope this summit can be a very fruitful one to all of you. Thank you so much, and I wish you all health and success.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ali Reza, for your kind wishes and sharing the message from the ICYC, which has also been working very closely in organizing this very important event. With this, we move on to our next speaker. I have the pleasure of inviting Ms. Anna Aguirre, a Vice President with the ICA Global Committee on Youth, to please share her remarks and views on the summit. Anna, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Very good morning for me. I'm in the most occidental part of the Eurasian country. I'm in Portugal right now. So it's not even 6 a.m. for me, but I was so happy that you invited me. So I woke up, I'm on a holiday, and I just left my roommate. One of my friends is sleeping in bed, and I jumped out to join your session. So I'm super happy that I could make it. I almost didn't make it though. But I was super happy to hear all of you. And I'm super impressed because this year hasn't been easy for any of us, and neither was the last. And to keep up the activity like you have done in Asia Pacific is something that all of us in the work are learned from. So I just extend my congratulations to the central office, and especially to my colleagues in the youth committee that have been amazing at making things work. As Balu said, for me, this year is very, very special because of the celebration of the Congress, and it just, gives us another reason to talk and discuss and be critical about our cooperative identity. And I think dialogues like this just foster the idea I have about co-ops, people thinking, creating, and sharing knowledge together to make the movement a better place for everyone. I think all of us that have heard me speak know that I am a huge defender not only of youth-led change, but also of cooperatives and worker co-ops. So I'm just especially happy that we're discussing these topics in this Congress and in this year in the road to so. And I think that in these years that have been so abrupt, so tricky, as cooperative members, we have just shown how resilient the model is and how capable we are of leading change that is fair, that is human, and that empowers people, right? As youth, I'm happy to report that although we wish we would do more because we are insatiable like that, we like to do better and more. I think we've done things this year that should make us proud and that should make the movement proud. On the one side, we've mapped all the initiatives, or hopefully as many initiatives as possible, through a project that has enabled the picture of a mapping project from youth co-ops led worldwide. And I think this was specifically, again, a shout out to my colleagues in Asia Pacific and to all of you youth in Asia Pacific, because you have been incredibly supportive of this project. All of you in both the projects that we've led globally have been the region that has been more active. And I think that this is just a show of how amazing the region works. And then the replication project that Ali knows well, and so many of you may know well as well. Ali Reza has been one of the best supporters and tutors of the movement. We've been able to foster cooperative development among youth throughout the world, leading 9 projects to actually pretty successful ends right now. So I'm super happy to report that, the year has been complicated, but has been still a very active year in the youth led movement, right? And in my own case, I think there's a lot of things that give me hope to know that the world is moving to the right place. And there's always walls and things that make you unhappy or sad, but there's so many others that I have been leading throughout this year that acknowledge that the cooperative movement is growing and somehow becoming more mainstream that we hoped for in the last couple of years. And I think this is fantastic. I myself have been working alongside some people of you, because I see here are the people in the audience in platform co-op development, that actually it's a movement that has shown that the cooperatives can also transform to a digital movement. That is one of the things that I think leads youth to come closer to the old co-op movement in a different way. And for me, leading a movement that is worker-owned, that stands for worker rights and labor rights, that is fair, that creates empowering and for jobs for people, and that is in the core of shared property and wealth creation, for me, it's just a fantastic way to keep being an activist in my own work. Because I always share, I think that all of us co-op members are not only workers in our companies, are activists in our lives, because being a cooperator is not only a job, it's actually a statement. So I congratulate you all from for being here only, because I think you're taking stand and sharing some values that are actually making the world a better place already. And I hope that during these days and these dialogues, you're able to share your learnings, you're able to share your critical viewpoints of the movement, because I think only a movement that is critical with himself or with herself can actually develop. So I invite you to not only share the beauty of the co-op movement, but also the faults of the co-op movement, because those little critical thinking are the ones that are going to make the movement grow. And I was going to end with some words very similar to Ali Raza, so I'm actually not very happy that he went before me, but I'm going to change very quickly and share 2 quotes of Arizmendi Arrieta, the founder of Mondragon, with you, and say that as humans, as cooperators, Arizmendi Arrieta used to say that humans are not perfect, but are perfectible. So with work and resilience and, together, we can make ourselves, the cooperative workers, better people. And in the other hand, and this is one of my favorites, he said, the world has not been given to us to observe it, but to transform it. So I think that actions like this that you're doing these days is just a great example of how the co-op movement can make the world a better place. And we're just not standing on watching what's happening, but actually transforming to the benefit of the people. So congratulations, enjoy. I will not join you at 5 o'clock in the morning any more days. I'm so sorry, but I hope you have tremendous time, terrific dialogues, and that you enjoy a lot your days. And thank you again for leading the world in so many levels and showing example of what a active co-op youth movement is. Congratulations. Thank you very much for having me. And I think this is me for today.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your kind message of support for the Youth Summit and also being a regular supporter of the activities for youth cooperators in the region. I'm sure our young torchbearers will also take away from your remarks at how being a cooperator is not only a job, but it's actually a statement to make for the youth in the region. So thank you for that. And with this, now we have a few of our mentors who would like to share their remarks and their views on the summit. Just to give you all a quick introduction about the co-op pitch, which we have mentioned about in the opening ceremony also. This, in fact, remains the key highlight of the Youth Summit and continues to be designed to find innovative and sustainable ideas for cooperatives and collective enterprises. So the participants will get an opportunity to pitch cooperative business ideas, which can cater to the needs and aspirations of the youth and the communities in their country. So we have an interesting lineup of such pitches over the next few days. And guiding them will be some of our mentors who have kindly agreed to spend some time and engage with these participants. So we have a few of them who would like to share some of their views. I would like to call upon Mr. Pendi Yusuf from Indonesia to please share his remarks on the co-op pitch and of course the Youth Summit in large. Mr. Yusuf, over to you.
Thank you, Mohit. Long time didn't see. Mr. Balu, hopefully you are always safe and healthy. So Ali Reza, Anna, and everyone in this moment. For me, I'm so honored to be one of the mentor and the meeting, the pitch participant with an amazing business idea. We should be proud of our youth for how the exhibition built amongst the participants. I may show, however, all participants are winners. All of them have extraordinary vision. We all know that hope is still there, and it looks real to them. Hopefully, in the future, more participants will join and get more support from all parties for the better future. And We all know also the luxury is in youth idealism in its luxury. So I think it's the moment is very, very important for us for study and to be ready to bring the generation more better future for all of them. And hopefully we are always safe for now, and we are can be meet together in every US in this outside event like this. And thank you, Wahid.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pendi Yusuf, for your message. And we are sure with your assistance, our participants in the co-op pitch will be, of course, able to hone their ideas and the skills to pitch finally in the last round of the competition. May I call upon Ms. Sam Subida from the Philippines to share her views, please? Ms. Subida, are you able to hear us? Okay, never mind. I think we are trying to get her. Okay, yeah.
Hello, sorry. I had a problem with the internet connection. I just got back in. So once again, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I would like to thank and commend the entire ICA Youth Committee for braving this pandemic, that despite the pandemic, we were able to push through with this year's Youth Summit. So I myself, I was able to attend the Youth Summit we had in Cebu. And from there, I was really impressed by how creative and innovative the youth are, especially those in the cooperative sector. And I am humbled enough to be chosen as one of the mentors to assist this year's co-op pitch participants. So for this year, I'm very much impressed as well by the different ideas that were presented initially by the competitors. And I am hopeful that all these projects, even beyond this co-op pitch, will materialize. And I'm really excited to see how the youth can change the cooperative sector. So once again, I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I'm wishing everyone involved in this Youth Summit a good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Subida, for your kind wishes, and we look forward to engaging with you over the next 3 days of the co-op pitch competition. May I now call upon Mr. Dhanaj KM from India to share his views, please?
Thanks, Mohit. I hope I'm audible, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So, good morning all over there, and I feel it's a privilege to share the screen space with the kind of dignitaries already here. And thanks, ICAP, for inviting me to be part of the Youth Summit 3.0 and the opportunity to interact with the next generation cooperative entrepreneurs. Being a mentor is a honor, at the same time a tricky proposition. In a sense, a mentor is supposed to work with the team in identifying the key areas of focus to raise the red flags about the gaps. Yet the mentor is not supposed to work for the team or on behalf of the team. She should let the team follow their instinct and the path they feel is right. In that sense, mentoring is largely about being that outsider guy who will bring in that perspectives and nudging the team to go back to the first principles, like asking the questions like, do you think this problem actually exists? Or have you met anyone who have actually faced this problem? Were that particular person able to articulate that particular problem to you, or were you detecting it from the interaction? And do you think there will be takers for the solution who will put their money, resource, and time to your proposition, so on and so forth? I mean, that's the kind of the questions and the nudges as a mentor is supposed to do. So and personally, I kind of allow that interaction, allow to kind of be in that space and try my best to kind of do that, bring that perspectives to team. In this co-op pitch, the third edition of co-op pitch, I interacted with 5 amazing teams who all of them are working on interesting use cases which have a direct relevance or with a cooperative spirit. Some of them are in the early stage, some of them are still kind of shaping how the action plan could be and what how they should actually take that to the implementation. But but I feel they are all in a good starting point. They are coming with that particular passion and to kind of do something and be part of the movement in a positive way. So I wish all of them all the best, and I wish they were able to kind of go back to the whiteboard and kind of redo some of the things in the interaction we had on Sunday, and we had some follow-up interaction as well, and they will be able to kind of present their idea or articulate their idea in a better way, and just not ending this particular as the previous speaker was also saying, not ending it at this particular competition, but actually taking this forward, getting and kind of implementing it. And regarding the youth summit, as I think Anna was mentioning, it's all about the celebration of celebration of the successes, celebration of how this movement is going and where this movement is going. And more than that, it's also a reflection, right? The point of reflection of kind of doing the cross corrections and course correction to kind of forward. And you guys are doing an amazing work in kind of pulling this in the middle of such a pandemic. And all the best, and kudos to the team who have actually pulled this out. And again, this summit is actually giving all of them an opportunity to kind of, all of the participants here to an opportunity to kind of work and learn from the other successful entrepreneurs as well. So that's all. And once again, all the best. And once again, privileged and honored to be part of the particular program and contribute from my end. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dhanuj, for agreeing to be part of the summit and also volunteering to mentor some of these participants. I'm sure they'll all, of course, learn from your rich experience on entrepreneurship and designing and building business models around cooperatives. So with that, we actually come to a close of the opening ceremony. It's been an overwhelming response indeed. We have close to 135 participants joining us live on Zoom and over 450 participants watching us on YouTube for the opening ceremony. And of course, there are several others who will pitch in during the respective sessions over the course of the 3 days. So we again thank you for the opening ceremony, for joining in the opening ceremony and being a part of this Youth Summit. We very much look forward to engaging over the next 3 days. And with that, we now move on to a detailed orientation and housekeeping of the whole 3 days. So letting you know on the specific rules and norms for the next 3 days. My colleague, Mr. Ganesh Gopal, will take over from here. And we look forward to meeting you throughout the next sessions lining up. Thank you so much. And we move to the next session now. Over to you, Ganesh.
Firstly, thank you so much, Mohit, and thank you everyone for joining in the opening ceremony. And you've made it a grand and colorful, a very positive opening for the third Asia Pacific Cooperative Youth Summit. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you as a participant, speaker, mentor, judge, and keynote speakers who've taken your time off to come over and contribute and give back to the community, to the movement, and to the youth of the region. So I'll just quickly get into my task at hand, which is to give you an orientation and a brief about 3 days, what is being planned around the summit. What is the session plan? There is also the pop pitch competition that we are parallelly organizing. We shall have a quick walkthrough for the pop pitch as well. And a few very, very basic housekeeping rules for our friends who are joining us both on Zoom as well as on YouTube. So I'll have a quick run through with the schedule. I hope my screen is visible. So today, the opening ceremony we've just done with it. We'll have a quick brief of the housekeeping rules, and right after that, we have a networking session from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m., which we have planned. After that, we have an hour-long break. So the main sessions begin from 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon today. The first session is about youth engagement in Asia and Pacific. As a lot of you might be already familiar, some of you might not be. There are quite a few activities that we are undertaking and have undertaken in the recent past to encourage youth within the cooperative movement, to bring in innovation, entrepreneurship within the cooperative ecosystem and so on. Not just limited to entrepreneurship, but even research and educational institutions, trainings, and so on. So all of these will be covered in this session at 1:30 p.m. So please do not miss the session in case you'd like to engage more with our regional office as well as our thematic committees that we have within the region. And the next session after that is at 3:15. It goes on till 4:45 p.m. Indian time. So this, I think a lot of you might be really interested, because this is to throw light and showcase various heroes or entrepreneurs from within the cooperative ecosystem. So these are all individuals who have strived, gone through their entire cooperative journey, and they will be sharing how their product, organization, or solution has been set up over time, their struggles and so on. So this is called Spotlight on Coop Youth Entrepreneurs. We have 6 speakers from 6 different countries. This is the end of day 1. Towards the end, we have a 30-minute session or a slot for question and answers. So this is where you get to interact directly with all of these cooperative entrepreneurs today. Tomorrow, we have the similar version of a chat or a talk from a youth entrepreneur, Mr. Deepak Ramola. He is the director of Project Fuel, very inspiring conversationalist. And we can have a brief interaction with him right after the talk. This is the first session for tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. Then we have a session on cooperative identity, how cooperative identity gives a competitive advantage for your cooperative enterprise, how the identity of branding yourself as a cooperative, all these things will be dealt with, how the .coop domain gives a unique identity to your enterprise, how the coop mark makes sense in the overall branding of a cooperative enterprise, and other tools that can be used for digital empowerment. This will be handled by Mr. Tom Ivy, the Community Development Manager at .coop. This is from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. The next session is from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. India time. Again, a very interesting session which focuses on student cooperative clubs in Asia and Pacific. How we have a culture of student cooperative clubs across the region in various countries, in various settings. Some are in schools, some are in cooperatives. How these student cooperative clubs have kind of given the power as well as the opportunity for students to explore leadership, cooperativism, and other values that will ultimately leapfrog them, let them leapfrog into community leadership. So we see student cooperative clubs as a precursor to taking up larger community leadership and doing good for the community. So this session will be focusing on 2 or 3 speakers from Japan, Malaysia, and from India as well, about models within universities and schools, how they have been taking up roles, the students have been taking up roles, how they have been managing their own cooperative, and ultimately this has led to them imbibing a lot of skills which are very much useful in taking up community leadership. So this is another very interesting session, but this is only the first half of the session. The second half is where it gets better. We have a breakout group activity. I'm not going to ruin the surprise for you, but it is something hands-on. We will definitely encourage a lot of you or most of you to come and join us in that activity. We'll have the breakout rooms and it's a hands-on activity, and we'll ultimately come back and discuss the activity as well. So right after that, we have the break, a half-an-hour break for from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Then another interesting session that begins at 2:30 is on cooperative cinema. So I'm not sure how many of our friends here are familiar with the Around the World series. Anyhow, aroundtheworld.coop is a popular cooperative cinema series that has featured a lot of interesting models, cooperatives that have been working and making significant difference on the grassroots level. So we are focusing, or we have selected one particular movie based out of Nepal, which is an around the world movie, and we have the message from the featured cooperative who are discussing about what they're doing, the kind of cooperative they run at the grassroots, and what kind of difference they've been able to make over the past couple of years. Secondly, from the movie making, the filmmaking team itself, speaking about the filmmaking experience, how they selected such a cooperative, the things that they learned in a different setting on the ground and so on. So this is the session on cooperative cinema. Then we have a brief session for very informal interactions from 3:30 to 4 tomorrow. And followed by this, we have 2 hours of cultural exchanges or a cultural session. So this is where, people from across the region, across countries, cultures, across cooperatives will come and share their experiences in terms of cultural exchanges, how, in a physical setting, this would have been also, something visually and in terms of experiential or experiences, it would have been extremely, what do you call it, a beautiful exchange of how different cultures come together. So we are trying to do that in the virtual scene as well. So they will be facilitated by Tom Ivy. We will have 2 to 3 different cultural components being showcased there. So we will all strongly encourage you to join this one as well, since we have a very diverse panel out here. Then on the 3rd day, I'll just very quickly run through the panel discussion that we have organized for enabling environment for youth in cooperatives. So the panel discussion has 5 or 6 subdomains: innovation, incubation, funding, legal policy framework, government perspectives, mentoring, and how cooperatives as a people's movement and the bottoms-up approach have been taking up a lot of attention as well as energy to channelize the energy of youth in a very positive manner. So these 6 subdomains will be spoken about by our distinguished panelists. It will be moderated by Mr. P. Santosh Kumar, the Director of Legislation at ICA Global Office. Then we'll have the co-pitch finalist announcement at 11:30 a.m. India time tomorrow morning. So once the announcement is done, we'll have a break for around 60 minutes. And we will reconvene at 1 p.m. when we will have the co-pitch finale. The finalists will come and pitch live. The top 7 teams that are selected will come and pitch live. So as you know, the co-pitch is a pitching competition where, which is of course the integral part of the APCYS. In the last 2 versions as well, we have seen very successful cooperatives coming out of the process of co-pitch. Several of them are still actively working on the ground and have been quite successful in whatever their pitches were, and they were able to pursue it further. So we'll have the top 7 pitches starting at 1 p.m. And right after that, we'll have the judges coming and announcing or evaluating their results and enumerating the top 3 winners. After that, in the formal closing ceremony, which starts at 3 p.m. Indian time, we will have the keynote address, followed by the remarks by the judges, who will formally announce who are the top 3 co-pitch winners. We will have a brief winning speech by the winners, as well as the experience sharing by participants, speakers, and mentors. We will close after that with the valedictory address. So that is the gist of the 3 days. A couple of other things that I would like to mention or go through. One is you can always use the chat window for asking any kind of doubts. If you want to have an interaction in terms of question and answers, you also have the access to the question and answer window. These will be resolved by the end of each session. We have allocated time for question and answers by the end of each session. The cultural sessions and the interactions that we have scheduled, which you can see on the program schedule. Please come and be an active part of that. Secondly, to our friends and youth in the region who are participating through YouTube, please do send in your comments on YouTube. We are taking a look at that as well. We will be responding to that as well. And thank you all so much for the overwhelming response that we have received for the summit. I think we were all amazed at how much response and positive attention we've got for the summit this time, despite it being a very difficult year for most of us with the pandemic and so on. I'm happy to announce that we have received nearly 3,500 registrations from across Asia Pacific for this third virtual youth summit. I'm happy to take any questions from the chat box as well, in case you'd like to ask, or on YouTube. Thank you very much. I am seeing so many hashtag posts all over YouTube and social media now. Thank you so much, everyone, for the support and sharing on social media. Please do share the YouTube link with all of your friends who might be interested, because we have, like my colleagues earlier mentioned, we have an array of speakers and subjects that we are discussing. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity for everyone to be exposed through just one event to the diversity that the cooperative movement itself offers. So I'm happy to take any more questions in case there are. Where should we submit our business template and video for the corporates today? So this is something that we discussed the other day. The orientation for the corporate participants, they can submit their business template and video for the corporate either on email, contact@apyouthsummit.coop, or you can share a drive link through email to the same email ID. I hope that was clear. I think one of the participants have asked the million-dollar question, what about our certificates? So you will be getting your certificates once you submit the feedback form. We'll be sharing a feedback form on the feedback session that is scheduled for day 3. So the only request that we have for our dear participants is that you at least attend 80% of sessions. I understand that the entire thing might be, the entire day is full of sessions, but at least if you can attend 80% of the sessions for the 3 days and fill up our feedback form, then we will have the appropriate details through which we can issue the certificates. That is the only request and mandatory clause so that we would like to tell our participants. So then the certificates will be issued and disseminated to your respective email IDs. And like, I don't have to mention the interactions, like I mentioned. At the end of every session, we have a Q&A. In case you don't get a chance in between Q&A to ask your question, please raise your hand or put a question in the chat box. It will be addressed, or you can direct message to any of the moderators for each of the session or the ICP staff, we'd be happy to take it up. It goes without saying, we would like to request everybody to maintain decorum while using the chat and any of the public chat communication, either on YouTube as well as on Zoom as well. I think we've covered most of it. I think in case there are no other questions, then we can move on to the next session, which starts at 11:30, which is yeah. So I've got another question in the Q&A. Do we have to prepare a slide or a video presentation? So that is entirely up to you. How you want to present. If you feel that a slide is more convenient, that is fine. But regardless, a working link is what the only thing that we would want to ask you for, and that can be shared via email. So we would like to request everyone to join the networking session that is in the next 17 minutes at 11:30 a.m. India time. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. See you soon.